Hello student, welcome to my channel called with Rahul Kumawat. Yesterday I have uploaded pair someone question in 2 pointers playlist. If you haven't watched this so far, I will strongly recommend you to watch that lecture first of all in order to understand this lecture very clearly, because this lecture is extended version of pair sum one question itself only. So if you haven't watched the lecture one in 2 pointers approach playlist, please watch that lecture first of all in order to understand it in a very clear format. So yes, we are going to discuss pair sum 2 question, which is the extended version of pair sum 1 question. Question 1 itself, question is given here is that if a integer array is given to us and the integer sum is also given to us, we need to find the total number of pair I comma j such that array of I plus array of j will become sum, and when I is not equal to j. The question is given to me. For example, if array is equal to 2 3 4 5 6 7 7 8, target element is 10, then we need to find the total number of pair. So total number of pair here is 2 and 8, 3 and 7, 3 and 7, and 4 and 6. So total number of pair will be 1, 2, 3 and 4. The answer will be 4. Actually, I have recorded this lecture, but due to technical issue, those recordings are not saved in my laptop. That's why I am going to re-record it. So all the theories that I have written in the first way of recording format is available here, so don't worry about this. So in order to understand this question, yes, we need to think about how we can use a 2 pointers approach in this array. So for example, if array is given to me is 2 3 4 5 6 7 7 and 8, so indexing here is 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7. Now I need to think about the 2 pointers. First of all, I have to stick from this element and this element. So for example, if this become I and this become j, now we need to traverse the array in such a way that we need to move in right direction from this I, need to move towards the left direction from this j. Okay, so if we go to the element, for example, here is 3 and 7 that we have achieved. Now we need to think that some other possibilities might be there. So we need to move in this direction from I, and we need to move from left direction from j, and that's why we have achieved another pair 4 and 6 itself only. Okay, so yes, we need to move in this direction and we need to calculate the total number of pair in this array. There are multiple possibilities that we have encountered in order to solve this question. The first possibilities here is, if array of I and array of j is greater than target, if array of I and array of j is greater than target, in order to reduce the array of I plus array of j, we need to reduce the array of j only. So in order to reduce the array of j, we need to move left direction from j, and vice versa. Array of I plus array of j is lesser than target, we need to move right direction from this I, because if we move right direction from this I, array of I will become greater and greater. If array of I will become greater and greater, then array of I plus array of j will also become greater, and that's we want itself only. But if array of I plus array of j is equal to target, then we need to count the number of pair that we have encountered in this question. So for that matter, we need to think about the case 1 and even case 2. In case 1, when array of I is equal to array of j, we need to find the length of this I and j, because the length of I and j will give the frequency of array of I, and those frequency we can think that count will be nc2 only, because those frequent element we need to choose only 2 element. In order to choose two element from the n element, we think about the nc2, because nc2 is the number of ways to choose the 2 element from out of n element. And when array of I and array of j are different, then we need to calculate frequency of each element, array of I and array of j. Suppose that n1 and n2 are the count of frequency of array of I and array of j, then count will be n1 into n2. The count will be n1 into n2. Why this count will be n1 and n2 here? Because n1 is the frequency of array of I, n2 will be the frequency of array of j, and if we want the array of I and array of j in terms of pair, then we need to think about the number of pair that we can achieve by using the simultaneous approach of array of I and array of j. For that we calculate the n1 into n2, because this is a simple rule of product itself only. For example, if 3 comes 2 times, 7 comes 3 times, then the possibility 3 and 7 is number of occurrence of 3 and number of occurrence of 7 itself only. It is very simple. Now we need to write about the code. So yes, we are going to writing the code itself only. Okay. So for example, I am going to write the code in Java. The function which is given to me is public int function, integer, array and integer target. Array is given to me and target is given to me. I need to return the count. What I need to do in this question is integer I is equal to 0, j will be array dot length minus 1. I am writing this code in Java. Okay, I am writing this code in Java. And integer count will be equal to 0. Okay, integer count will be equal to 0. I need to start from while loop. I less than j. Now current summation is equal to what? This is array of I plus array of j. Okay, if current summation is array of I plus array of j, there are 3 possibilities that we have encountered. The first possibility here it is that if current summation is greater than target, if it is so, we need to reduce the current sum. In order to reduce the current sum, what we need to do is we need to move towards right direction, not right direction, we need to move towards left direction. Else if the second possibility that we have encountered here it is that if current summation is lesser than target, then what we can do is that we need to move in this right direction. Else what happen in this case is we have achieved the current sum is equal to target only. If current sum is equal to target, there are 2 possibilities. The first possibility here is that if array of I is equal to array of j, if array of I is equal to array of j, we need to think about the length. The length will be what? J minus I plus 1. And the count will become what? Count become L into L minus 1 divided by 2. What is L into L minus 1 divided by 2? It is LC2. L is the length, J minus I plus 1, that I have already told to you. Okay. And then if area of I is not equal to area of J, then what we need to do is, we need to think that now the occurrence of I and occurrence of array of I and occurrence of array of J. For that matter, I consider integer C1 and C2, and integer V1 is equal to array of I and integer V2 will be equal to array of J. So in order to calculate the frequency of array of I, what we need to do is, I need to again apply while loop here in such a way that array of I will be equal to V1. If this so, then what you can do here, it is that C1 plus plus and I plus plus, and contrary to it, we need to think about I less than J, and array of J is equal to V2. Then we need to think about C2 plus and J minus. Okay. And after calculating the C1 and C2, what is C1 and C2 here? C1 and C2 is the frequency of array of I and the frequency of array of J respectively. So in order to calculate the C1 and C2, we apply the while loop here. After calculating the C1 and C2, we apply rule of product. In rule of product, what we are doing is, we are going to multiply C1 and C2. Count plus is equal to C1 and C2. That will be stored in this account, and then this loop will become this, and I forget apply break here actually, because if array of I is equal to array of J and I have calculated the entire length, then and after calculating the count we need to break it, because now all the elements are exhausted, so there is no need to traverse the array again and again. If you traverse this, there will be no problem at all. And the count plus will be equal to C1 and C2 itself only, because I have considered that C1 and C2 are the frequency. And after calculating the count, what we need to do is, we need to return the count only. Okay, we need to return that count. Yes, so that is a simple solution of pair sum 2 only. Okay, this is the solution in Java. And again we need to think that what are the time complexity and space complexity. In order to calculate the space and time complexity, first of all space complexity. In space complexity, we haven't to use anything, any hashing, anything, any array and any storing function at all, so that's why the space complexity will be order of 1 here only. And in order to calculate the time complexity will be order of n. Why order of n? Because see here, why order of n only? The time complexity here is order of n because for each and every element we traverse only one time. Either we move in left direction or we move towards right direction. Either we move towards left direction or we move towards right direction. So for each and every element, each element occur in loop at one time. So that's why we have achieved the time complexity in order of n only. So here the time complexity will be order of n and the space complexity will be order of 1. That is space complexity, and order of n will be the time complexity. If you have any doubt in this lecture, you can feel free to comment in comment section. And the second thing that I just want to brief you is that I have created handwritten notes in the 2 pointer where I have written all the important methods, all the important patterns, all the important questions that can be asked in farm interviews that are very useful if you are BTech student of computer science and engineering, and if you want to create any farm companies, if you want to change your data extraction algorithm, you are very welcome at my channel. This is Code with Rahul Kumawat. So I will see you next time.